Hello and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, consider subscribing as I try to post new racing content weekly. This week we're doing a different type of series where I just want to show the highlights and the most pivotal moments in the race. This week we're racing at Daytona in the IMSA race, so let's get into it. We started out the race in P2 and we had a bad start, so the third place Ferrari jumped me and then took the inside line, especially going into the international horseshoe, and got me out of position, so I had to concede and give him second place. It's okay though, because we were still close to them and it was just the start of the race, and so we can make up time later on. Coming into the second horseshoe, I'm a little slow. We're still just starting the race, so the tires are cold, and this BMW decided to poke his nose in and ended up spinning out. I don't know where he ended up in the race, but sometimes you just need to not be so aggressive to start the race. And coming out of turn 7, P1 just loses it and spun out, and then this GTP puts me a little bit out of position because I want to be on the lower part of the bank. So I'm running a little slower because I wanted to give him a little room. So that made an opportunity for others to catch up to me. Going into the bus stop, I had good speed, but then coming out of there, I just had terrible speed, and both cars behind were able to take me coming out of the turn, and then they got the lower part of the bank and I had to try to fight back to get the position. On to lap 2, this is where the fighting started to begin for position 2. I'm behind the BMW and trying to see if I can maybe undercut him by going on the inside line, but it's just a little tight going into these turns, and so I have to kind of lift a little, and then he's still on the inside part of the horseshoe, so he has a better position and he ends up taking it because he's in a better position, but we're still going to continue to fight. Yeah, so he still has the inner position and he ends up taking it, and then we go into turn 7. BMW ends up going a little wide, so I take the opportunity and we go too wide on the bank going onto the straight. Now at this time, another Ferrari is really close behind the BMW, so we end up having like this train of cars going into the bus stop, and I try to get myself in position to defend. As you can see, I gave him a little room on the inside, and then I was able to get a good exit on the bus stop and on to lap 6. At this time, I'm able to catch up to P2 and maintain P3 going on to the straight, coming off the bank. And it's a little crazy going in here because we have so many cars behind us too. And this becomes a good battle into turn 1. A Ferrari gets me on the inside, and then the BMW is close up, but he brake checks and gives me the room to then defend, and I stay on the inside line because I don't want to give him that line. This is when the GTPs start to play a role in our race, and so I take advantage and see that P3 hits on the brakes, and I take him going into the horseshoe. Onto lap 8 in P3, and there is a ton of traffic going into turn 7, and the GTP locks up, and so the Ferrari, because I had to maneuver around it, the Ferrari took the advantage and got the inside line. This guy was really aggressive the entire race, but it was good, clean racing, so I wasn't too upset. But then he was giving a draft to the Ferrari behind him, so going into the bus stop, this was going to put me out of position. We go into the bus stop, and this Ferrari doesn't give me any room, and so I have to go off, and I take an incident point. Lap 9, and we're in P5, and after the bus stop, a GTP goes off, and then also P3, the Ferrari goes off to our left, and so we make up a place going onto the bank at the start finish. But the BMW is still close by and pretty much getting a draft from me, so I'm just trying to put myself in a position where I don't get overtaken. Eventually, after our drag race down into turn 1, I pretty much slam on the brakes, and he takes the position because he just had more speed. Onto lap 14, I pit, and as I'm coming out of the pit, I notice that I jump both the Ferrari and the BMW, and this is when I get hit and I have suspension damage. I can't believe that even happened. I don't know what happened with that car, but he lost control, and I had to drive the rest of the race like this. Later on in that lap, coming out of the bus stop, I just don't have the speed that I should have. Normally, I should be a little faster, and the Ferrari is just gaining on me going on to the straight off the bank. We go into turn 1, and he's a little slow in here, so I think I can maybe make up my place again. And then all of a sudden this GTP just wants to get involved, and so I'm playing in my mirrors and trying to not get in a collision, and then he splits us going into the horseshoe. I was trying to give this second GTP room, but I guess he just wanted to tuck in behind the other Ferrari, and the Ferrari ended up keeping position. Lap 23, P3, and the Ferrari goes wide, and I take advantage, and we go too wide onto the bank. Now, this time I'm surprised I actually have more speed, but when you're on the lower part of the bank, you get a little more speed, and all of a sudden this GTP kind of comes into play. I stay on the inside line so I can be in position just in case when we're going into the bus stop. We both gave each other space, and I ended up taking the position coming out of the bus stop. Lap 24, and it's a battle for P2. As you see behind me, the BMW gets a position, and then both Ferraris take each other out, and they're out on turn 1. It's the final lap, and we're coming up to the finish line, and the BMW has a draft behind me, and I try to put myself in position to have the bottom, and he ends up taking it right at the finish line because I end up running out of gas, literally sputtering as I cross. That was probably the most action-packed race I've ever had from beginning to end. And if you like content like that, leave a comment down below. Also give me a like, it just helps the channel grow. And if you want to be a part of the live action, go to my Twitch, Steeziest Gaming. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next one. Peace.